Hey, 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 hey. It's John Kay and Mike, the Junk Wax Hero, and Mike Moynihan. We're spying on Mike
Yes, I'm
Moynihan.
here too.
We've tapped into his home camera, and he can't avoid us. So happy Thanksgiving to both of you. Mike and Mike, how is everybody? Good?
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Are there any leaves left to change in New England? Are we done? Everything on the ground?
They are all on the ground, and it's funny because we called our leaf guy a couple Fridays ago and said, "Yeah, we'd like you to come by and take our leaves in 2 weeks." And he said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And then he was over the next day, cleared all of our leaves up, but then there were still tons of leaves still to fall. So we've got some raking to do now.
I've got a neighbor who is a millennial, and I've seen him raking his lawn every day for weeks, and I'm looking up at his trees, which are filled with leaves, and he's still raking. I don't get it. I take the approach that Mother Nature's reclaiming everything, and I just leave it there for Mother Nature. So I don't care what falls on my lawn. You guys might not have that problem in Texas, right, Mike? You guys all have.
It's like y'all have leaf guys, like
he's a pretty big deal up there.
like y'all make a living. You can make a living just raking leaves.
Brian Gray was a leaf guy. Not anymore, though, right?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Nicely done, John.
Thank you. Thank you. So here we are, end of almost the end of the year. We want to talk about maybe kind of what we're thankful for in the hobby and stuff like that. And not necessarily just in the hobby, but maybe in our own hobbying, not hobby wide, but maybe personal as well. So Mike from Maine, what do you give us one? Give us something you're thankful for. Hopefully you've got a nice monologue prepared for us.
Yeah, well, so the thing I'm really thankful for right now, which isn't going to be popular among sellers, but for collectors, it's plunging prices of cards. I'm finding cards that are way cheaper than I would have expected to buy them for 4 or 5 months ago. You may have seen my video yesterday. I got what was a Grail card for me for the last 18 months, way cheaper than I had expected. So I am thankful for cheaper cards than I ever budgeted for.
Do you guys feel like I feel like I'm an oddball? I am an oddball, but I feel like I am like when I say I don't care if cards are cheap. For the example you're giving, right? I wish they would all get cheap because I just want to collect cards. Do you guys feel the same way?
100%.
Yeah, that's why I want them to be cheap.
Yeah. Well, do cheaper cards? It's interesting because cheaper cards also are coinciding with cheaper submissions. They don't always go hand in hand, I guess, right? But it's because you would pay more. You'd pay $5 more for a sub if a card cost you $50 less or $25 less, right? It wouldn't matter so much. But it's interesting that we're headed south both on card prices and on sub prices, I guess.
Yep.
So call me crazy. I mean, I'm an economics guy, right? So an economics major as my finance guy. Cheaper cards means growth in the hobby. And I think that's paradoxical to a lot of people's thinking. They're like, no, prices have to stay up for the hobby to be more popular. And I'm like, it's the absolute opposite. The cheaper cards are, the more people can afford them and have a hobby and really get into it and buy more stuff. If you can only buy one card a month because things are expensive versus I can buy 10 cards a month, or, pick your numbers, pick your ratio. To me, it's only going to grow the hobby if cards get and stay cheap again.
So is this going to cause a further separation from the supposed collectors and the supposed investors or speculators?
Well, we all knew all of us and all of the people probably watching the show knew that was a fad anyway.
Still going strong though, man. I think I see a lot of it.
Sure, the high end stuff, yes, is going to stay in an echelon that we can't reach anyway. I think anything, I'll use a couple $1,000s and lower. It's not an investor card anyway. They're not investing in those cards. So those get. I'm saying that low end, and $2,000 is a lot of money, but I'm saying pretty much everything under that continues to get cheaper will only help the hobby grow. That's my thought.
Yeah, I did a video about 10 or 11 months ago saying why I'm not grading my PC cards or buying graded cards anymore. And since then, the cost of already graded cards has plummeted. I can buy Yaz 1962 tops for half the price that it would have cost me a year ago. And it makes a lot more sense now to buy already graded cards than it does to buy raw and set it in to get graded at $20 and hope to get a grade when I can find a 5 for $40. Well, not really that for a 62, but you get the point.
Well, just so y'all know, PSA called me, said, "Hey, we're going to run some specials. What should we run?" I said, "Well, in honor of John Keating, run a 70s cards for $15." And they're doing that right now, John, just for you.
70s for 7 is what it should be.
That should be.
Yeah, you guys talk about, what is that? That's a consumer grade, whatever you call it.
That's a collector grade.
Collector grade is the year, the decade, right? The decade of the number. So, yeah, it's.
I'm sorry, are you wearing a Philadelphia Celtics shirt?
It's not Celtics, bro. Does that Liberty Bell look like anything?
It's got a you've got a shamrock.
Okay. Right. So the Italian guy is going to call out the Irish guy. This is like. This is an Irish thing. It's not a Celtics thing. Come on, man.
Okay.
Stop it, man. What are you wearing? You got to be wearing your Paul Pierce underoos or something right now. What do you have on underneath that sweatshirt? Are you all geeked up for your big basketball game tonight?
No, I was wearing my Celtics hat earlier, but
okay, thanks.
Not anymore.
Mike was not wearing a hat earlier, but now he is. Thankfully, he put a hat on. So.
Oh yeah, we don't need to.
We all had the same haircut and the same beard cut, which is
we all have the same haircut and the same beard. Look at that.
That's good stuff. Sorry, I've been sick for a while. So I'm going to tell you one thing I've been thankful for. I'm well known for being a bit of a wallflower and an isolationist. And since coming back to the hobby, it's amazing how, I know you preach this a lot, Mike Moynihan, but the amount of people that have entered my life due to collecting is absolutely breathtaking. Being the third child with 2 older brothers, they always were together, and I was always alone. That was just my lot in life. But it's fun going through this next chapter of my collecting journey with other people instead of doing it alone. So I'm pretty thankful for that. The people I meet, this week alone, I've gotten a couple of handwritten letters, which is mind blowing in this day and age, from friends of mine in the hobby. So,
how has it changed, John? How has it changed your perception of the hobby?
Well, here, this is an interesting question, because I had assumed when you collect in a vacuum, you assume everybody's collecting the same way. So I'm learning and being educated by people on the screen, for example, who collect differently than I do. Now, this sounds weird, but there's only really one person I know of that collects like me, and that's Dean Gearhart, right? It's almost like we are on not parallel tracks, but the exact same track. And it's opened my eyes, and it's slowly turning me to the light and accepting other people in the way they collect, which is, like I said, I automatically assumed everybody collected the way I did. So it's fun to have my eyes opened by people like you guys and other people that I'm real close to in the hobby now, but collect nothing like the way I do. So, that's interesting to see. Again, when you feel like you're doing everything, you're playing the same song everybody else is, it turns out it's just Dean and I playing that song, which is fun.
But I think you can see parallels in different ways that people collect that are similar to your. I mean, there's enough similarity in collectors, I think, that enough like-mindedness that you can connect on some level, even though you may not collect exactly the way somebody else does.
Right.
Yeah, I just watched your video, Mike, where you do the Showcase Showdown with Chris from Missouri. And I'm not a player run collector, but I love that. I love watching that and seeing how you have all the cards right up there. It's not something that I would collect, but it's still very cool.
Unless it's named Charlie Yastrzemski.
Yes, I am a Yaz player run collector and a Pedro Martinez prospect player run collector, and that's about it.
I subscribe to a lot of groups on Facebook, and I'm active on Twitter, and it cracks me up every time I hear somebody say, "Well, how do you sort your cards?" Or how do you? And I'm like, "Well, they have numbers on the back of the cards. That's how. That's how." But not everybody does that, man. It's like I'm such a base person. Captain Obvious. We'll use the numbers on the back, but people do it by teams and players and all that stuff. So again, it's fun to see all that stuff. I try to use common sense, but it turns out my sense isn't very common. So
can I tell you something I'm thankful for? I continue to be thankful for the support that my wife gives me in this hobby, because for all of us, I think we spend a lot of time doing it, but she sees the joy that it gives me. She sees the people, other than John, she really likes everybody in the hobby that she's met.
She loves me. She just likes everybody else.
Right,
that
exactly.
Is the truth.
Just we can't, like you said, collecting in a vacuum. If you collect, I can't even imagine collecting if I was getting grief from my spouse the whole time. Every time a package came, she rolls her eyes or gets pissed off or whatever. And I have the zero of that in my house. And I'm very thankful that after 43 years now almost that I've been collecting, that she's still supportive. And I've known her for 43 years, but
so you guys got married young down there, huh?
Yeah, I was 7. No, her support has been unwavering and is cherished by me. Honestly, I don't take it for granted.
We wavered this week. Because she had ordered something from Amazon. It came in a bubble mailer. I opened it up all excited, and it wasn't baseball cards. So I put it on the kitchen table, and it sat there for 6 days. And she's like, "Where are these things I ordered for Amazon?" I said, "They're right there." She goes, "Oh, I thought that was your stuff." So every now and then there's a mix up, but you're absolutely right. I don't know how Mike's wife feels about it, but my wife understands that it calms me down, and it scratches that itch of like me and Moynihan were talking about organizing before the show, and I love to organize stuff, so it helps for sure.
Yeah, it's a great point, Mike. My wife is also extremely supportive, and not only of cards coming in the mail all the time, she'll even go to my P.O. box for me to get things, but also of
do you get your hymns sent there, or do you get that sent to your business? Because you got to be careful, dude.
And also of this hobby here, doing videos takes up time, and so I'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go make a video real quick," or I'll sit on the couch editing the video while she sits next to me, and never a complaint.
What's funny is Julie gets more upset about the time I spend creating content than the time I do collecting cards. And, she will roll her eyes if one night, "Hey, I'm going to go talk to the fellas," or "I'm going to go shoot a video." And she'll kind of, okay, again, it's interesting how that part of it, not the cards per se, it's however God knows how much money goes out the door.
Yeah.
It's the time doing content creation, but she also knows that that's important to me. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, all of us probably in some degree are now part of our identity. Not all of it, for sure. Part of our identity is who we are here on this platform and with our friends. And ideally, I know you two guys very well, and I would say y'all are the same dudes, whether we're just talking by ourselves or the camera has hit record. It doesn't matter. We're the same guys, but it still takes time.
So that's an important point there, because first of all, I try to do my stuff around family stuff. My first podcast, I was doing it like 6 a.m. on Sunday, and I'm whispering into the microphone because I didn't want to interrupt whatever was happening in the house. Everybody's sleeping. But you talk about being the same people we are on camera than we are in person. So there's been some stuff lately in the hobby that you know, where true colors have been shown by you know, it seems like a popular content creator lately. That it's important to always be yourself no matter what. But you know, I've never had the thirst, and it's obvious by the quality of material I put out, to be hobby famous or anything like that. You know, if you just, it's refreshing to know that, you know, a couple dozen people still watch me just be myself, because I don't want to be anybody else. I don't want to be the #2 podcast or the #2 hobby podcast or whatever. You just be yourself. That should be enough for those. And I think people recognize that. Listeners recognize that for the most part.
Well, as long as Golden Age of Cardboard still being released, you'll always be at least #2. So
who is #1? Do we know? Because #2 just completely burned up. So #3
Sports
just
card
became
nonsense.
Are they really? Okay, good for them.
I believe. I believe so. I've never listened to it, and to be honest with you, I'd never heard of the guy.
There are a couple of
knuckleheads
this week. I'm being honest.
Good for them.
Not a fan.
Well, I mean, it's we try stuff out. Like I have tried a lot of the content. I've given it a try, not out of any kind of like altruism. I'm a pretty cynical person, but just, you know, as you try to find your way and navigate your way through the content world in this hobby, you try stuff out. And you know, a couple of the one you mentioned, it's #1. I listened for a while, and the one that just flamed out, I listened to it for a while, but then you realize it's not your thing. And a lot of us aren't followers. You know, I don't know how you guys are, but I don't look at my audience as followers. I look at they're kind of co-creators with me doing the thing. So as long as whoever listens to you, they're partners. You're not talking down to them. So I think there's there's a little bit of that going on, and a little bit of self-elevation. So
yeah. So you mentioned you're thankful for the friends in the hobby, and my #2 thing, in no specific order, is engaged viewers and the friends that I have made. I may never meet most of these people, but the people who comment on my videos, the people who email me, people who message me through Instagram or Twitter, introduce themselves at card shows. I love that. I might be very socially awkward at a card show, but you know, a quick hello, hey, I'm so and so, a commenter. I love that. It's awesome to know that people are watching and enjoying the stuff that we put out.
I think Mike Moynihan is more used to it than maybe we are, although you have a big audience as well, Mike. But it creeps me. It doesn't creep me out, but it scares me that anybody would recognize me. But a lot of times it
did me at first too.
Yeah, like when I met Wade Boggs fan John, it was at the National in Atlantic City. And he looked up. I guess he heard my voice, and he looked up, and that's how we met. And of course, I'm not prepared for that either, right? So I am the same guy at the 8th grade dance trying to impress a girl, and I did whatever the opposite of impressing somebody is. That's what I, typically do in those situations. So thankfully, John gave me a second chance. So,
well, you're both named John, so why wouldn't he?
It helps. It helps. Yeah, and we're both from Pennsylvania. So
there you go.
So that's what else you got? I think you're up next, Mike from Maine. Do you have another one, or you did one, right? Mike Moynihan, you have another one?
Obviously.
You weren't prepared for this. We grabbed you. So everybody knows, before this episode, I, for some reason, was hanging out backstage after I sent Mike from Maine a link, and I was watching Casino with my son, but my camera was on, and then Mike popped on, and then Mike Moynihan did not expect to be on the show. We just grabbed him while he was there. He was going to eavesdrop, but so he does not have any preparation for this show. So
I don't have any preparation. I'm
thankful. Are you thankful for your new room? I mean, that's got to be exciting, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful for ever growing, ever needing more storage, I guess, because that means I'm getting more cards and more comic books, for that matter. But I am, it's, you never have enough space, but you do, John. But most of us
got a lot of space.
But John's been here, Mike, and this is a tiny room. It's a little bedroom,
Hopefully February.
I know February and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that people want to hang out. I mean, when I started this a decade ago, I promise you, I was just like, man, I have some cool stuff. I've watched a bunch of videos for a couple of years, honestly, not hardcore, but just watching stuff every once in a while. And like, I have some cool stuff, and started doing this. And I've had close to 50 guys that create content here at my house in the card room. And that's so much fun. Again, if you do this, John, you've discovered it. Mike, you've discovered it. You do it in a vacuum. What's the point if they all sit in a dark closet, you know? And that can be fun too, to some degree, but it limits how much enjoyment you can get out of it. It goes up exponentially when you get to share it, and people coming over and saying, wow, that's so cool, and telling a story, or them seeing a card and reminding them of a story to tell you. Because I love hearing the stories about their collections just as much as I love telling the stories about mine. And so I'm very grateful and thankful for the people that, you know, follow whatever we do. I'm thankful for whoever's calling me right now. I don't know who that is.
Mike should have a guest book in his card room.
No, it's Don's Field of Dreams cards. That another YouTuber.
Is he asking for a link? He wants to get on, doesn't he?
Well, we're not live.
But it doesn't matter. He smells that stuff out, man.
He does.
As soon as the live button pops, as soon as the recording button pops on, he can smell it from wherever he is.
He like has an algorithm in StreamYard where he gets notified of, wait, somebody's
Can you
live.
spell? Can you, Mike? Can you either one of you guys spell algorithm on your first shot?
ALGORITHM.
Yep.
You guys are such geeks, huh?
But
I work in data. So.
I know. I was gonna say, I knew you would get it, man. I knew you get. I'll throw him for a loop and ask him to spell logarithm.
But when you go to things like the National, and we have the get together that you guys have both, Mike, you attended last year, and John, you've been the last couple of years, and you have hundreds of people there. It's overwhelmingly humbling. It's just like, oh my goodness. And everybody wants to connect with everybody else. It's not about me at all. It's really about everybody connecting with everybody else. And you see that, and it permeates the room, this connection. And it's so cool to see. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, but what's great about that is it isn't, you going to see Taylor Swift in concert, because you're not the musician or songwriter she is. But when you go see collectors that happen to make content, it's a collector meeting another collector, which is to me the paramount thing. We're all equals. Some of us just happen to get in front of cameras every now and then for whatever reason, but it's collector v collector, not fan versus idol, which is probably the best part of that, I would imagine.
Yeah, the best interaction I had at the YouTube get together was with a non-content creator who had playfully argued with me about about Derek Jeter on a video 6 months before. And we'd gone back and forth in the comments on that video. And then at the YouTube get together, he introduced himself and he said, I'm the guy. I'm the only comment I've ever put on your videos was about Derek Jeter. And we went back and forth, and we ended up standing there for like 15 minutes,
That's awesome,
arguing
man.
Playfully about Jeter. And it was awesome. I love that stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about, right? That thankfully our hobby is backed by real history and real data, right? Because you guys weren't arguing about Jeter's cards. You were arguing about Jeter, which is a very unique thing where it's almost like the cards are a gateway to some other world, which is, the history of sports. And as we've learned, we're never going to stop learning about it or the cards, because cards keep popping up. And there's so many historical nuggets out there as well, which it's a fountain that doesn't shut off, which is, I can't say that about a lot of other collecting things. You can be a car collector, but your Mustang isn't really tied to, a couple world wars or, segregation and stuff like that. It's a pretty spectacular virus that we all have. And I don't think there's a cure for it, thankfully.
Buying cards.
Buying cards, right? Baseball Reference, all that fun stuff, right?
I have a fever, and the only prescription It's buying cards.
You know what
Buying cards cheaper.
I just thought of something else I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for Immaculate Grid.
Yes.
That's pretty wild, huh?
Every day since June.
I mean, it's been fantastic and it helps your knowledge. You're like, oh, I didn't know so-and-so played for these two teams, or this person made this accomplishment, or whatever the daily trivia is. And it keeps me always thinking. And I've learned a few players that, can be used so many different ways. It's been great. And I'm grateful and thankful for Immaculate Grid.
Do you look at your cards differently? Because it's a brilliant thing, like I when I was sleeving up bindering up my 1980 set, I knew all the names of the players, but then I started looking at their teams just in case I needed that information for Immaculate Grid down the road.
Well, I promise you, and you guys probably do this, when I think of a player, I think of cards that I've seen them on.
Mm-hmm.
You go Frank Thomas. Okay, everybody thinks White Sox, but he also has, an A's card, and he played for the Blue Jays. You can think, oh man, and yeah, Mike Piazza, and just different guys. That Ricky Henderson's a great one because he played for everybody.
Kenny Lofton.
Yep.
Kenny Lofton. Yeah, you just got I think of cards when I try to think of players.
Yeah, and they've started adding more stats in, like, or not necessarily stats,
born outside of the United States. Yeah.
Played in the Negro Leagues, things like that. That I've learned so much from Immaculate Grid in the last 6 months.
So here, Mark Hoyle and I, we're kind of.
He's amazing with that.
He is. He's my hobby guru. But like the one last week with the player born outside the United States, Toronto Blue Jays, for some reason, we both put down Damaso Garcia.
I did, like George Bell.
Like, who would do that, right? Like, just two card goobers, would do that, and it's such a random thing. George Bell. I mean, I was going for the low points, right? And I was thinking nobody else will put Garcia down, and of course, Mark's probably mad at me because I ruined his score a little bit. And
all right, I haven't done the grid today, so why don't we?
When I see that W, what do I think of? I
think of Senators.
I think of the Montreal Expos. I've had to train myself to 100%. Think of the Montreal Expos now.
Yeah.
So they'll take Expos guys on this.
Expos or Senators or Nationals. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's the thing. You have to transpose that stuff in your head.
If you click on the logo at the top, it'll tell you the teams that are eligible.
Ah.
Yeah. Dude. It gets tricky with your guys, Mike, because it's the Senators, but it's the 1961 Senators.
You're right.
And Rangers. It's not, the Walter Johnson Senators.
And I always try to.
I pick Morgan too.
I try to pick a Hall of Famer for everyone.
Well, you don't get the points if you do that, right?
Yeah, I put in Garvey on LA 100-run season. Was surprised that he did not have a 100-run season.
Okay, good to know that I'm not going to do Steve Garvey.
Put Jason Worth in for the Nationals and Phillies.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good one. But it's Jason like that, yeah.
J-A-Y, yeah.
There's a really easy one for the middle block that I've already mentioned his name in this video.
Let's see.
Pedro Martinez.
You got it.
I used him for the Dodgers earlier this week as well.
But Pedro, that's a good one. I like.
He was my Dodgers player born outside of the country.
What's your lowest?
25 was my lowest.
I had a 14 and a 19.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm up in the 60s usually.
Right.
Like I have, you can see.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Where's see that?
42.
Oh, what are they paying us for this? Because this is brilliant.
I gotta look at.
Yeah, and you can go back and play. You can go back and play all the old ones, which I.
Oh, can you really?
But what sucks about it is this only shows if I play it also on my phone, my iPad.
You can cheat there because it's a different device, so you can play differently on your iPhone than you can on your laptop.
Well, it doesn't save it like it.
It doesn't. It's a different It's a different cookie. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised Gabby Hartnett did not score 100 runs.
I would think Ernie Banks would have had,
of course,
100-run season. Okay, Dodgers. About Jackie Robinson.
That's who I put.
He had to be the highest one, I would imagine, right?
9%.
Oh,
That's not much, huh?
probably Mookie
What
Betts.
what you find is the
Piazza,
newer guys,
Betts, yeah.
like Mookie Betts would be probably the number one guy on that one. Anybody new?
I don't play. If I see the Diamondbacks or the Marlins pop up, I typically don't play. I have no
Did
interest.
Michael Jack Schmidt score 100 runs?
Yes, Michael Jack Schmidt did everything.
Jimmy Rollins was the most popular one on that one.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, Ashburn would have been on there too, probably with less points than Schmidt.
Astros, Cubs, Astros, Dodgers.
Astros, Dodgers. Could be Jimmy Wynn. That's a yes.
Did he play for the? I know he played for the. Or he's just Jim Wynn on here. Let's see. He did.
What was that
Nicely done.
percentage?
Never would have come up with that.
Cubs and Expos.
Dawson, of course. Be the
Yep.
big one.
That's the most popular, I think.
Yeah, would have to be.
That it is.
That's who I put in.
That's a good one. All right, one more. 23%.
Hmm.
Let's see. The last one, Astros, Cubs.
I think Kenny Lofton, since I
He
mentioned him
played for the
earlier.
Cubs? He played for the Cubs?
I want to say he did. I'm going to look him up. Whoops.
I'm going to put it in. And if I miss it,
My fault.
There you go. 94.
Yes.
Man.
94.
Didn't get it.
No, I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
3%er. He's a 3%er.
What do you get if you miss one? How many do you get?
100.
100
Oh,
points.
it's 100. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so Lofton played for Houston his pre-rookie year, I guess, and then played for the Cubs in 2003 when he was 36.
Is that Betts? Your guys called that, right? Betts and Greinke, I guess. Greinke was the Dodger Astro.
Dodger, Astro, Betts. I told you guys that, like the newer guys, Harper,
Scherzer's
right?
in there, yep. But Andre Dawson was the number one.
He is.
Sosa was the number one run guy. Well, see, that's a great thing to be thankful for right there.
Hey, I got to go eat some dinner. So
all right, man.
Thanks
Be
for joining.
thankful. Yeah.
I will say thanks before I eat.
I renamed you, by the way, because you at one point you said call me crazy.
And there you go. I'm now crazy.
So I'm officially called you crazy.
I'm thankful for you guys. I appreciate y'all's friendship. Y'all are
Apologies
awesome.
to Danny Black. Apologies to Danny Black for this impromptu gathering here.
Yeah,
so
he should have been here. We'd have a whole crew. The whole crew would be here. But
yeah,
hopefully you guys are thankful for Think Tank. So
yeah, for sure. I'm thankful for the for you letting us come on here once a week or however many times we're on every other week and just babble on about stuff.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You'll have a good one.
All right, man. See you at the Christmas party.
See you. I will.
Bye. All right. So that's that, Mike. Anything else you want to get off your mind, thankful wise? I mean, some of us it was a little therapeutic there, and we got a little deep. But anything else you have in your pocket?
Yeah, that was fun. I've just started putting cards in binders. I've always been a box guy, but this is my new binder well, it's not new because you can see it's kind of messy, but Diamond Kings autographs that I've just started putting in, and I've loved it. And so I'm going to start putting my Yaz run in a binder and a couple of other things in binders. So easy and fun and much better to look through than they are in boxes.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. They're at arm's length, and you can grab them and look at them without having to root through them. But I fortunately for me, I do it in all ways. I have display cases, I have binders, I have boxes, I have sets in 800 count boxes. So I get a little bit of everything, thankfully. And then on my table behind me, I have some of the fun stuff that I just don't want to put away at all. So it just sits out there for me to see when I come down the steps. So, we're just happy to have our cards, I guess, and whatever stuff we've collected, because there's a story in the cards, but there's a story also about how we got the cards too, which is a bonus, I suppose. So, yeah. So, any final thoughts, words, comments, corrections?
Oh, I hope everybody has. Are we posting this on Thanksgiving?
I would think Thursday's the day, so we'll see.
Yeah. I hope everybody has had a great Thanksgiving. It's just a fantastic family day. I'm not big on turkey or a lot of the food, but I really look forward to having my family together around the table, spending the day together.
Yeah, your whole family's home. Mine's home. Well, my oldest will be home tonight from Philly, so it's a good time to watch football and eat turkey, and you know, maybe sneak downstairs and look at my cards for a little while between turkey and pumpkin pie. So
Yeah.
cool, man. Well, thanks for joining me. You and I, you more so than I. One thing I wanted to mention was you more so than I of kind of had some regional trauma lately. So it's hopefully this will, this Thanksgiving, everybody in your neck of the woods is a little more thankful for what they have. I know that was a very scary time up there. So mine paled in comparison. It was just some crab walking dude that shut down my area for a week, but you guys had some real stuff to deal with. So glad you came out unscathed, and hopefully your community is healing.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a tough time, but
yeah.
Cool.
Well, I didn't mean to be on a downer, but be thankful for what you folks have out there. Somebody probably has it worse, and if they don't hang in there, okay, hopefully things will get better for everybody. But thankful to again Danny and Mike and everybody in the hobby community that supports us, as well as just a fun time in the big hobby pool that we get to have by interacting with each other as collectors. So that's about it. Babbling done. I'm going to end the record now. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, Michael. We'll see you. Bye.
See ya.